If you talk to 10 beginner farmers about why they started, most of them will tell you the same thing. They wanted to grow their own food. They wanted independence. They wanted a simpler life. And honestly, those are good reasons. But if you check back and 6 months later, something changes. Half of them have already quit. A few are struggling to keep going. And maybe one or two are actually building something that works. So what's going on? Because it's not laziness, it's not lack of discipline, it's something else. Most people don't quit farming because it's too hard. They quit because they run into problems they didn't even know existed. So let's break those down. The real problems. Problem number 1, they expect it to be simple. You see clean setups online, perfect gardens, healthy animals. Everything looks calm, controlled, easy. What you don't see is the daily work behind it. Feeding, cleaning, fixing things when they break, checking animals when you're tired. Farming isn't complicated in theory, but it's demanding in practice. And when people realize that it requires consistency every single day, that's where the first cracks start to show. Problem number 2, they try to do too much too fast. This is where most beginners go wrong. They don't start with one thing. They start with everything. A garden, chickens, maybe rabbits, maybe composting, maybe even planning for goats. It feels productive, but what they're actually doing is building 5 different systems at once, and each one has its own learning curve, its own problems, its own daily responsibilities. So instead of learning one thing well, they're constantly putting out fires in 5 different places. That's not progress. That's overwhelm. Problem number 3, their expectations don't match the timeline. This one is subtle, but it hits hard. People think, I'll start now, and in a few months I'll be producing real food. But that's not how systems work. Plants take time to grow, animals take time to mature, and mistakes take time to understand. So what happens? You put in effort every day, but the results don't show up fast enough. And that gap between effort and reward starts to feel like failure. Problem number 4, the system they built isn't sustainable. This is the one that leads directly to burnout. Because most beginners design their setup based on their best days, when they're motivated, when they have energy, when everything feels exciting. But life doesn't stay like that. You get tired, you get busy. Some days you just don't feel like doing anything. And if your system requires a high level of effort every single day, it starts to break. Not all at once, but slowly. Tasks get skipped, things pile up, and eventually it feels like too much to keep up with. Problem number 5, they don't feel progress. This is the one people don't talk about because it's not physical, it's mental. You're working, you're showing up, you're doing the tasks, but it doesn't feel like it's working. And when effort doesn't feel like progress, motivation disappears. That's when people start checking out. So, how do you avoid all of this? The fix isn't complicated, but it requires doing things differently from the start. Solution number 1, start with one system. Not 3, not 5, 1. Pick something that fits your space, fits your time, fits your current life. Because farming shouldn't overwhelm your life, it should integrate into it. When you focus on one system, something changes. You start understanding it. You notice patterns. You solve problems faster. You build confidence. And that confidence is what keeps you going. Solution number 2, lower the intensity, increase the consistency. Most people try to go hard at the beginning. Big setups, big plans, big expectations. But that doesn't last. What actually works is smaller effort, repeated consistently. Feed, water, check, adjust. Every day, even when it's boring. Because consistency builds systems. Intensity burns out. Solution number 3, design for your worst days. This is where most people fail without realizing it. They build systems they can only maintain when they feel good. But the real question is, can you maintain it when you don't feel like it? If the answer is no, the system is too complex. So you simplify. You reduce workload. You make tasks quicker. You remove anything unnecessary. Because a system that works on your worst day is the one that actually survives. Solution number 4. Track learning, not just output. Early on, production is slow. That's normal. But if you only measure success by output, you'll always feel behind. So instead, shift your focus. Ask yourself, do I understand this better than last week? Am I solving problems faster? Am I more confident than before? That's real progress. And once that builds, production follows naturally.
Solution number 5. Commit to 1 full year. Not a few months, a full year. Because until you've seen all seasons, you don't understand your system. You haven't seen how it behaves in heat, in rain, in different conditions. And without that experience, everything feels unpredictable. But after 1 year, something changes. You stop reacting. You start anticipating. And that's when things actually start working. So here's the truth. Most beginner farmers don't quit because they're not capable. They quit because they tried to build something too big, too fast, without understanding what it actually requires. But if you slow down, if you simplify, if you focus on one thing and stick with it, you don't just avoid burnout, you build something that actually lasts. So take a step back and look at your setup. Are you building something sustainable or something that only works when everything is perfect? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you want more practical, no-hype advice like this, stick around, because this is how you actually make it work.